Welcome to my channel where we cover the lore of video games. We cover all kinds from the mainstream to the indie, so I hope you enjoy your stay, and welcome to the Chronicler of Lore. After you let Raban know that Fordola nearly transformed, he makes a note of it so he can watch out for her. But other than that, he's pretty happy about how your mission went, even though it did prove that the people who have a connection to the skulls have a higher risk of turning into blasphemies. Not all of their family members stayed in Alamigo, some of them moved to Ul'dah. It goes without saying that if they turn in Ul'dah, things will be very bad, so Raban plans on working with the Immortal Flames to find the refugees and help them out. He also plans on heading over there to meet with the Sultana, and once he's prepped, he wants you to come with him. It doesn't take long for the Sultana to set up a time to meet with him. His people still haven't found the blasphemy, but whatever it's doing likely matches the types of things that the man had done in life, so once someone figures out who he was, that'll make it easier to track him down. Since the skulls are the ones who are at the most risk of turning, and that includes Fordola, Arnvald thinks keeping her out of things for a while might be for the best, but it's highly unlikely that she would agree to that. Arnvald wishes that he could still walk so he could take over her duties until things were sorted out, but even if his legs had worked, he wouldn't have had time for that, since Raban wants him to come with him to meet the Sultana. He thinks talking to her will help both of them out in the future. Arnvald doubts that he has anything that he can teach to someone as powerful as Nanamo, but he's still willing to go with you to Ul'dah. When you get there, Papashan lets you all know that Nanamo has decided to do her whole sneak around the city thing as her alter ego. And of course she didn't tell Papashan about her little trip, which is dumb because Ul'dah is dangerous, and no matter how she disguises herself, it wouldn't be hard for someone to pick her out of a crowd. Granted, Lalafell only have like 4 different faces, so she could blend in a little bit. Either way, there are blasphemies and other things running around too, so you need to find her before something eats her. Papashan's pretty sure that's why Nanamo is walking around the city in the first place. She wants to see how her people are doing. That's noble, but it's dangerous, and since Raban has had to track her down quite a bit, he takes the Warrior of Light and goes on a hunt for her. He's not as good at finding the woman as he claimed, but after a little bit of hunting around, you find her in Pearl Lane, which is by far the most dangerous part of the city. Nanamo's surprised to see the two of you since the time for your meeting hasn't exactly popped up yet. But she's not mad that Raban had immediately started acting like her bodyguard again when he thought she was in trouble. Granted, she's not about to ride on his shoulder again because that was always weird. She had wanted to see how the people were doing so she could be better prepared for your meeting, and she managed to finish her information gathering before the two of you showed up. So after she changes into her normal clothes, you all get your meeting underway. Arnvald's uncomfortable meeting royalty since he's just a soldier, but the fact that he came with Raban makes him rank pretty high as far as Nanamo's concerned. And since he's been working with people in need in Alamigo, that scored him some points too. She's been told a bit about why you're there, and she wants any information you have about the blasphemy in Alamigo and its victims. After Raban tells her everything, she understands why you need to find all of the Skulls members' families who came to the city. She's been helping the Alamigan refugees in her city already, so giving them a little bit of extra attention won't be too hard, especially if it keeps a blasphemy from showing up inside of her walls. As for the people who have the worst chance of turning, she thinks the best way to help them is to talk to them. Everyone's experienced different trials in life, but with a little willpower and support, just about anything can be overcome. And since she's gotten better at working with the people who control most of the money in the city, she has the support to help keep the Alamegans in the city from feeling emotionally drained. Trying to forget about their past isn't the solution. What the people have to do is come to terms with what they've done and move forward. And Arnvald thinks that the best way to do that is to hold a remembrance ceremony for everyone who died during the war. It doesn't matter what side they fought for. Everyone will get to be put to rest, and every Alamegan will get to celebrate their fallen loved ones and move on. Raban thinks it's a nice thought, but it's not something that'll be easy to pull off. Bringing people together who don't trust each other is not the best way to promote peace. It could end very bad, but it's worth a shot as long as the people aren't forced to show up. As long as it's optional, he'll give Arnvald all of the support he needs to get everything underway. He appreciates that, but he wants to get a bit of advice from Nanamo on how to deal with people since he still doesn't think he's good at it. She's okay with that because she wanted to talk to him too. So since you're no longer needed, you and Raban head back to Alamigo. While Arnvald is planning his not-so-little event, there's still a lot of monsters and missing Skull's family members to find. The good news is Ragnfrid has gotten the general public to help with tracking them down. Even though they still hate the Skulls, they've gotten a little better when it comes to working with the Silver Griffins and their mission. As for Arnvald's ceremony, he plans on setting up a meeting between the different community leaders to iron out all the details, and he wants you to help hand out some invitations. He only needs you to deliver 2 of them, one to Miraz Noon and the other to Sarisha. He expects them both to refuse to show up since they had a lot of bad run-ins with the Skulls, but he hopes that they'll realize that putting the past behind them is the best thing for everyone, and he thinks that you being the one to bring the letters will help them lean more in favor of showing up. He wasn't wrong about that. Even though Miraz and Sarisha of the Anata do agree to show up to the meeting, that doesn't mean they're agreeing to do the event, but they will at least hear Arnvald out. Of course he wants you there for that too, so you head to the royal palace for a meeting with a lot of very unhappy people. The people do not like the idea of honoring traitors at their remembrance ceremony, but after a nice speech from Raubahn and Arnvald, they realize that everyone did stuff that they didn't like to survive under the Empire. And while what the Skulls did was worse by a pretty large margin, holding grudges won't help them or their nation recover. Since they all want Alamigo to thrive, they agree to do the ceremony. With them agreeing to attend, the rest of the people will be easy to get on board, which will help keep more people from turning. The day is turning out to be better than they expected, because the woman whose daughter Fordola saved realized that she had been kind of a jerk, and wants to thank Fordola personally. Raubahn is a little unsure about whether he should let her go or not, because Fordola can be a bit of a, let's just say, not a nice person. But he's gonna think about it and he'll let you know what happens. When you get back, you find out that something went bad. Fordola went to meet with the women so they could thank her, but when she came back, she was acting really weird. Then not long after that, she ran away. Raubahn's gone to Alagana with Arnvald to see if the pair have any idea about where the woman might have run off to, so you go over there to meet him. When you find him, he's both upset and a little confused. Fordola's been doing a lot to earn his trust, so her running off is strange, especially since she still has on a collar that he can use to kill her with a single command. She knows this, which makes him think that she has to have a good reason for running off. That's why he decided to talk to Clarel and her daughter Lily before deciding to send Fordola to the upper room. The conversation they'd had with Fordola went pretty much like most conversations with the woman go. They talked and she just stared at them like she wanted to stab them. But it got weird when Clarel had mentioned the blasphemy. Fordola had looked at Lily, then started screaming like Lalafell were dancing on her brain, which means her messed up echo had shown her some of Lily's memories. Arnvald wants to know if the girl can remember what she was thinking about when Fordola had freaked out, and she actually does. She was thinking about a man who she had seen in the city. Turns out Lily had come face to face with the man who had turned into the original blasphemy, which means Fordola had seen him too since she saw the girl's memories, and she recognized him. She had said the name Charlotte while she was having her vision, but neither Raubahn or Arnvald know the guy. But you have a name that Ragnfrid and his Silver Griffins probably know, so you go hunt the man down. Charlotte was a name that the old man had heard recently. He had an older brother named Ansford who was in the Skulls, and he's got an uncle that's been trying to track him down. The man is working in the Sleeping Stones at that moment, and since Ragnfrid was about to take the man something to eat, you all head off to see if he knows how Fordola and Charlotte are connected. It turns out that Charlotte knew Fordola very well. His family had sworn to Garlemald so they could get citizenship, and that had made the other Alamegans hate them so their lives sucked. That made Ansford and most of their friend group join the army and become the Skulls. That little friend group included Fordola. Charlotte hadn't joined up, but he always felt bad about not being able to have his friends back. He blamed himself for not being able to save them, and that's likely what made him turn, even though none of you tell his uncle what happened to him. There's no point in messing up the man's day, but at least now you know where Fordola went. Her friend turned into a monster, and she feels like it's her job to put him down, or die trying. And that's where we're going to stop for today. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Donate if you can, and I'll see you all next time.